Hello students! In today's class, we're going to tackle an issue of first conditional. Now, this grammatical structure, on the one hand, is not too difficult, it's not too complicated. Anyhow, students tend to make little mistakes when using this grammatical structure. So we're going to start with the basics. We'll understand how conditional structures work in general. And then we're going to look at conditional one. And we're going to talk about the specifics of this very grammatical structure. Then we'll look at some examples. We'll make this grammatical structure a little more difficult or maybe easier. We'll find out. And then, as always, at the end of the class, we're going to have some exercises. So let's start. The structure of any conditional sentences. First of all, a conditional sentence is a big sentence that consists of two smaller sentences. Now, you can either start with condition, the if clause, the if sentence, put a comma, and then talk about the result. You see, if I win this lottery, comma, I will buy a car, right? Or you can exchange the positions of these two smaller sentences. You can start with the result and it will say, I will buy a car, no comma this time, if I win the lottery. Okay? So we need to remember one important thing. Whenever you see the part with if in it, a condition, this is where you use the present simple tense, like the majority of textbooks say. And this is true, but I will say that you can use any present tense in this little sentence where you can see if. It can be present simple, present continuous, or even present perfect. We'll talk about these examples in the future. So, in the conditional part, you have to use a present tense. In the result part, you usually use will or anything that is associated with future tenses. Again, we'll get back to this in the future. So, a very classical sentence that we're going to look at. If I win the lottery, I will buy a car. Okay, so we see the condition here, if. So if I do this, if I win the lottery, when? The lottery is going to take place in the future, but anyhow, you are using the present tense. If I win the lottery, comma, I will buy a car. So you already have an idea what you're going to do in case you win the lottery. You have a plan. You will buy a car. So even though both parts refer to the future, so you probably have the lottery ticket, which makes this conditional a real conditional, but you're just waiting for the result. So if you win the lottery, you know what you're gonna do with the money. You will buy a car. So all of it refers to the future, but the if part we still use with a present simple. In our case, if I win the lottery, I will buy a car. So only the second part, the result part, is the future tense part, like will. And like I said, we can exchange it. I will buy a car if I win the lottery. So for you, please let the word if be that indicator that this is the little bit where you are going to use some present tense. Just a few more examples off the top of my head for our information. So, if I see Mary, I will tell her you were looking for her. Okay? Not if I will see Mary. By the way, this is a common mistake. In some Slavic minds, this is how our grammar works. But it's not the case here. So you never say, if I will see Mary. No. If I see Mary tomorrow, during the week, anytime, if I see Mary, I will tell her you were looking for her. Okay? Or if John marries Katie, it will be a disaster. So if John marries Katie in the future, but still we use the present tense, it will be a disaster. So if this condition is met, this is the result we're going to have. If it rains tonight, I will stay home. So again, on this condition, this is going to be the result. I will stay home. Or I will stay home if it rains tonight. So this is probably the hardest part for some minds, those people whose grammar works differently, because in some grammars you would use the future tense in both parts. But just remember, whenever you see if, boom, use the present tense. Let's go a little deeper. So at the beginning, I said that whenever you have an if clause, an if part of the sentence, you use a present tense, and then you use a future tense in the result part. So if you are a pre-intermediate or an intermediate level student, this is what you have to stick with. But if you want to go deeper and you want to be considered an upper intermediate student, for example, let's take a look at this little part together. So a classical example, like I said, if present, result, future, will, right? So here's an example for you. If you leave now, you'll be able to catch the 5 o'clock train, right? Again, if you leave now, present tense, you will be able to catch a 5 o'clock train. Then in the future, you will be able, Super. Now, what if you want to play around with the ideas a little bit? What do you want if you want to be a little more precise in what you're trying to say? So for instance, whenever you use present simple tense, right, you just state a fact. But what if you want to talk about your intention? All right, so how do we talk about our intentions? We use the construction going to. Like, for instance, I'm going to see a doctor tonight, or I'm going to watch a movie tomorrow. So it's about your intentions. What grammatical tense is this? You are correct. It's still the present tense. So why can't we use it in the if part? So here's the sentence for us. If I'm going to catch the train, I'll have to leave now. All right, it doesn't contradict any rules. You're still using the present tense, but this is technically present continuous or I'm going to construction. And here you sort of switch the gear a little bit and you focus on the intention. If I'm going to catch the train, I'll have to leave now. Okay, so I have an intention to catch the train, so I'll have to leave now. That's the thing that is going to take place as a result. Another little example where you use your intentions, still using the present tense. We'll need more chairs if we're going to invite so many people to the performance. Okay, so if that's the condition, so we want to invite more people. So if we're going to invite more people, we'll need more chairs. So here we just exchange the positions of these two little sentences, right? But again, in my case, the intention here is quite important. That's why I focus on it. But it is also a condition. So I combine the two, an intention and a condition, and these two things don't contradict one another. Now let's take a look at the result part. So we just stated that we're going to use will there, or a future tense, okay? Now, technically speaking, I'm going to can be used as part of a future tense because you're talking about your future intentions. Now, what is another construction that you can use about the future? An arrangement, right? You can use a present continuous tense, which will talk about the arrangements. For example, can I have a cup of coffee with you tonight at 7? Oh, tonight at 7, I'm seeing a doctor. So that's my arrangement. It's already on my timetable. I cannot have a coffee with you. So I am seeing a doctor. The present continuous tense used for the future. So here's our example. You may say, if I fail my exam again, so here's the condition, present tense, something very simple, comma, now let's talk about the result. We'll keep it simple for now. I will quit studying. If I fail my exam today, I will quit studying. Right. Now, let's take a look at the result part. What if you already have it in your mind, this arrangement that this is my last time. If I fail this time, that's all. So you may say, if I fail the exam again, I am giving up school. Boom. You already have the arrangement. So it's way more specific and you're way more precise and it sounds much more fun. Or you could say, if I fail the exam again, I'm going to quit studying. So it's not your arrangement. You haven't made that decision yet, but you have intention to give up. You're like, oh, I've had enough. Okay? Well, let's make it a little more difficult. So the initial sentence was this: if I fail the exam, I will quit studying. So we played around with that result part. Now, what can we do with the if part? I told you once that you can use any present tense. How about a present perfect? Well, remember, the idea of the present perfect is the finished action, So after many attempts, you have accomplished something. For instance, I finished my homework. It took me a while, but I have finished it finally, right? So I'm done. So let's look at our sentence and put it this way. If I have failed my exam again, I am quitting school. Cool. It's still the first conditional, right? If I failed, so I've tried, and I've failed. So if I've failed the exam again, I'm quitting school. So within the frames of conditional one, you are making some things very specific and interesting. So you don't just use a bland classical structure, if blah blah blah, I will blah blah blah, but you add a little flavor to it. Now, this first conditional rule is again the same. If we use a present tense, then for the result we use a future tense, and it makes this conditional a real conditional. So technically the chances are 50 to 50%. So if it rains tonight, I will stay home. If it doesn't rain tonight, I will not stay home. Okay? Again, you can say, if it rains tonight, I'm staying home. I've decided that in my head already. I know for sure that this is going to happen, and this is what I'm letting you know about, right? If it rains tonight, I'm probably gonna stay home. So this is my intention, but we can still discuss it and look at options and so on and so forth. Or, if I win the lottery, I will buy a car. If I win the lottery, I'm buying a car. If I win the lottery, I'm going to buy a car. Same idea, right? So this is how you can use the first conditional in a more interesting way, but you still stay within the frames of this rule of how to use conditional one. So now we're going to pause for a second for some practice. The exercise is quite simple. I'm going to ask you some questions using a conditional one, that real conditional, and you will have time to write down or say out loud your answer using the first conditional. Again, pay attention to using the present tense in the if part, and then you use the will thing in the result part. Now, if you feel more confident, you're welcome to pause it and try to insert something different. Instead of will, use that intention or arrangement or a present perfect in the if part. So it's all up to you. So here are the questions, all right? Question number 1. What will you do if you can't sleep tonight? Question number 2. What will you do if your laptop breaks next week? Question number 3. What will your teacher say if you're late for class tomorrow? Or what will your boss say if you are late for work tomorrow? Now, when you give the answers to these questions, please, if you write, so write a complete answer. So if I'm late for work tomorrow, my boss will probably blah, blah, blah. Okay? So give it like a full thing, and so that you can remember the idea better. Okay? Now, the next example is here. What will you do if you get up late tomorrow and arrive to work late? If you decide to eat out later, what restaurant will you go to? And one last question. Will you laugh at your friend's joke if it's not funny? If my friend's joke is not funny, I will still fake laugh because he's my friend. Something like that, okay? Now, in this next part of the class, we're going to do an exercise together. This is a matching exercise, so I'm going to post some sentences. The first part of the sentence, the second part of the sentence, your job would be to match them. So there's going to be 6 sentences, and you just have to match the beginnings and the ends together. So once you see this exercise, please pause and do the job of matching, and then we will discuss it together. Let's start from the top. People will feel a lot safer on driverless buses. Number 4, as long as there are also human drivers on board. Okay? So here you notice that instead of if, we use as long as. So technically you could replace it with if, and it wouldn't change much, but we're being a little more specific here. So if we say as long as, we're talking not only about the condition now, but we're talking about a period of time. So once the human drivers are not on those autopiloted buses, boom, people will not feel safe any longer. Yes? We'll practice these words more later. Now, B, unless governments encourage people to use driverless buses, number 2, they will prefer buses with drivers. So again, the result part is they will prefer, but in the condition part, we use unless, which is the negative form of if. So you could have said, if governments don't encourage people, da 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 da. So that's kind of how you change this around. C, we shouldn't have driverless buses on our streets. Number 6, until the roads are in good condition. Another replacement for if, until. So until means that you have to wait for a certain time, like up to the time that they fix the roads, you know. So until they do this, until the sunset, until, the morning, this word. Now, D, if there are more driverless buses in busy city centers. Number 3, the number of road accidents could increase. What do we see here? So we see the if part, the condition, everything is perfectly clear. If there are more driverless buses, the present tense. But we see something different in the result part, the number of road accidents, not will, but could increase. That's quite interesting because technically speaking, will is a modal verb. Don't kill me for that. So instead of will, which is a definite result, you could use could, which is a maybe result, right? So you're not super confident. And I'll tell you what, instead of could, which is like a maybe result, you could technically use should if you give it this idea as advice or something. So the number of road accidents should increase, like in my humble opinion. Okay, let's move on. E, as soon as we allow driverless buses on our streets, number 1, more autonomous vehicles will appear. So again, classical result, more autonomous vehicles will appear, but as soon as. Now we shift from condition to time. It's a so-called time clause, but as soon as, like once it happens, like as soon as this happens, the result will be this. So we focus on the time here, not the condition anymore. And F, many people will avoid public transport. Number 5, if they don't feel comfortable on driverless buses. So this is a very, very, very classical conditional one sentence. So let us recap and think of more examples. So if is a classical condition. Whenever you talk about, like, if the condition is met, this is the result that you're going to have. But instead of if, you can use as long as, right? So now you focus on the period of time. So as long as this condition is being met. So once this condition is not met, boom, the result will change. Yes? So as long as you work hard, you will get progress in English. Once you stop working hard, or as soon as you stop working hard, you will not have any progress in English. You see, we combine the two. Then we use the word unless. So this is the negative if. And in some sentences, it's a little easier to use unless instead of if to kind of avoid that double negation and so on and so forth, right? And we also mentioned that instead of will, you could use some other modal verbs like should or could, for example, or might, and they will talk about different degree of probability, or they'll sound more like a piece of advice that you are giving. And one last exercise to sort of solidify what we've talked about, especially in regards to this other words other than if. So here I'm going to post a sentence, and you'll have a few seconds to choose the right word that would fit perfectly in that sentence. And don't forget to pause if necessary. So sentence A, people won't mind driverless lorries as long as or as soon as they're used on motorways and not in city centers. So which one is correct here? As long as, right? So we are focused on the period of time. I mean, you could have used if, but as long as sounds much better. So once these lorries or trucks are not used on motorways, things will rapidly change. Let's move on. B, if or until driverless cars become popular, people could stop learning to drive completely. Well, are we focused on the time or condition here? Condition. So if would be the right answer. Let's move on to C. Driverless taxis in big cities will not be popular until or unless they can attract tourists. Is it time or condition? It's probably condition. Unless they can attract tourists. So unless is the negative if here. So let's try to change it into if. Driverless taxis in big cities will not be popular if they cannot attract tourists. So it just sounds a little like cumbersome, right? So unless just sounds a little more convenient in this case. Okay, now let's move on to D. Driverless vehicles won't become common in cities until or as long as they are cheaper than traditional ones. Okay, so again, are we going to focus on the time here until, at the moment, or as long as the period, like we'll call it like a conditional period? Yes? So what do you think? So driverless vehicles won't become common in cities until they are cheaper than traditional ones. So once they are cheaper, at that time when they become cheaper, they will become common. E, if they are, or if there will be fewer accidents with driverless vehicles, they should replace human drivers. Again, should is advice in a way. So, but what are we going to do about the first part? You're absolutely correct if you decided to use are, because we don't want to contradict the rule. If requires a present tense. Will, you can never use there. So if there are fewer accidents, okay, the present tense works. And the last one, F. As soon as or unless driverless vehicles become the norm, there will be no need for human drivers. Again, what's the focus? The time or the condition here? I think the time. As soon as driverless vehicles become the norm, there will be no need for human drivers. So that would be the right answers, because once, like at the moment when they become the norm, there will be no need for human drivers. Cool? Good job, guys. So if we recap, first conditional has a structure, just like any conditionals. We have the if part, the conditional part, and in conditional one, we use any present tense. And the second part is the result part, and you use any future tense. So conditional, condition, or result. If you write it, you have to put a comma. Result, condition, no comma if you write it, okay? And if you use any present tense and any future tense as part of conditional one, that means it is a real condition. It means that if this condition is met, something will take place or something won't take place. So this is a 50-50% chance, all right? So I hope it was more or less clear. So do those exercises if you need to, like go back and try to take your time and do them in writing and have fun. Try to explore English. Like, it's very much fun if you understand the concept of English, and when you remain within the frames of certain rules, you can still be quite creative. Have a great day.